Hi everyone, and thank you so much for watching my channel, The Witty Turtle. In the last class, we already completed section 44 AD, which was a very important section. And today we are going to discuss another two more sections, which are section 44 ADA and section 44 AE. Right? So let's start with section 44 ADA. So this particular section is very relevant for we professionals because this particular section speaks about all the professionals whose list is given in section 44 AE, right? So let's read what this section tells about. It says that section 44 ADA speaks about presumptive taxation scheme for SSCs engaged in eligible professions. Eligible profession means all the professions mentioned in section 44 AA, right? Now, who is the eligible SSC here? Obviously, the professionals. The second point is they have to be residents, right? They have to be residents. And the third point says any kind of individuals or any kind of firms excluding LLPs, right? Individuals and firms excluding LLPs. Obviously, HUF तो नहीं हो सकता है ना. HUF cannot be a professional. So in this list, HUF is excluded, right? Professional, resident, individual, firm, excluding LLPs, right? Now, this is applicable on those SSCs, on those professionals whose gross receipt in the previous year was not more than 50 lakhs or it was up to 50 lakhs. Okay, it was up to 50 lakhs. So the PGBP income shall be gross receipt multiplied with 50%, which means the PGBP income is 50% of the gross receipt, right? 50% of the gross receipt. Now, in this section again, any provision contained between section 30 to section 38 is not allowed. Why? Because obviously we are charging a direct percentage on this, so there is no point of claiming any deductions. So in this case, it will be assumed that all the provisions between section 30 to section 38 are given full effect, right? So no deduction under section 30 to 38 is allowed. The next point says that this particular section, which is a section 44 ADA, it overrides all the sections between section 28 to section 43C, right? Okay, another thing which I forgot to tell you in the last class, that again section 44 AD, which we studied in the last class, that particular section also overrides all the provisions between section 28 to section 43C, and similarly it is applicable on this particular section, section 44 ADA as well, right? Again, the very same thing. If the PGBP income is less than your 50% of your gross receipt, then in that case, if the net taxable income is more than the basic exemption, so the SSC has to maintain books of accounts under section 44 AA. I told you in the last class, and the SSC needs to get those books of accounts audited under section 44 AB, right? I hope this is clear. So, super quick revision. Eligible SSCs are any kind of professional who is a resident, individual, and firms excluding LLPs. The second is that he has to be a professional under section 44 AA. The total gross receipt is up to 50 lakhs, up to 50 lakh tak hona chahiye, right? And the PGBP income shall be 50% of the total gross receipt, and no deduction under section 30 to 38 is allowed. It overrides sections between 28 to 43C. Then the PGBP income, if it is less than your 50%, then in that case, if the NTI is more than the basic exemption, then it is mandatory for the SSC to maintain the books of accounts and to get those books of accounts audited, right? I hope this is clear. This was a very small section relevant for all the professionals. Now coming to the next section, which is your section 44 AE. In the last class, we studied that in the definition of business for your section 44 AD, four things were not allowed. The first one was your all the professionals. The second one was your commissioning and brokerage. Third one was agency business, and lastly, any SSC engaged in the business of section 44 AE. So today let's read what is written in section 44 AE. This particular section says that special provisions for computing PGBP income of business of plying, hiring, and leasing goods carriages. Goods carriages, any kind of trucks or any kind of lorries, basically जिसमें good को transport किया जाता है एक जगह से दूसरी जगह, right? In all those lorries or trucks in which goods are transported from one place to another place, those are known as your goods carriages. And if the SSE is engaged in the business of flying, hiring, and leasing of goods carriages, then this particular section is applicable on him, right? The first point says that who is an eligible SSE here. So here it is not mentioned whether it is an HUF or individual or firm. It is not mentioned. It is told in a very simple language that if the SSE owns not more than 10 goods carriages, not more than 10 goods carriages means maximum 10 goods carriages at any time in the previous year. Any SSE who is engaged in the business of flying, hiring, or leasing goods carriages, and he owns maximum 10 goods carriages at any time in the last previous year, in this previous year. So, for them, this particular section is applicable. Now, again, no deduction between section 30 to section 38 is allowed under this section, right? Because this 30 to 38 talks about deductions, and we know that because a direct percentage or a direct amount is being charged in this section, so 30 to 38 has no point, right? Now, listen to me carefully because this is very important. Here, what shall be the PGBP income? Now, you might be knowing that when we are talking about goods carriages business, so there are generally two kinds of vehicles involved. Two kinds of vehicles involved. The first kind of vehicle is heavy vehicle, heavy goods vehicle, and the second kind of is anything other than that, right? One is your heavy goods vehicle. Heavy goods vehicle हम किसको बोलते हैं? Whose gross vehicle weight is more than 12 tons. GVW is more than 12 tons or more than 12,000 kilograms. So all those vehicles are known as heavy goods vehicles, right? So for all those heavy goods vehicles, what shall be the PGBP amount? It shall be 1,000 rupees per ton of GVW or unladen weight. What is unladen weight? Unladen weight is the weight of the empty truck or the empty lorry or the empty vehicle. What is the weight of the empty vehicle? That is known as your unladen weight. And what is GVW or gross vehicle weight? The weight of the empty vehicle plus the weight of the goods loaded on it, that is known as your GVW, right? So in few questions GVW is given, in few questions unladen weight is given. So in that case, according to the question, you have to calculate this. If both are given, then you have to always take the GVW, right? So the PGBP income for heavy goods vehicle is 1,000 rupees per ton of GVW or unladen weight per month or part of the month for each vehicle. Per month or part of the month for each vehicle, right? For each vehicle, for every ton, 1,000 rupees is being considered as your PGBP income for 1 month, right? And here it is written that part of the month. Part of the month means even if it was being used for 1 day in the month, still that will be considered as 1 month, right? If it was used for 3 months, for example 91 days, then it will be considered as 4 months, right? Because 90 days we are considering as 3 months, and 1 day for another month, which is again considered as one full month, right? So 1,000 per ton of the gross vehicle weight per month per vehicle, right? Or if anything is actually earned, so between these two, whichever is higher, that amount shall be considered as your PGBP income, right? I hope this is clear. Now we are talking about other vehicles. So for other vehicles, 7,500 rupees per month or part of the month. Again, the very same thing is is considered here. 7,500 per month uh, for each vehicle, per month per vehicle, or whatever amount actually earned, whichever is higher. So generally ये जो 7,500 per month होता है, that is higher, right? So 7,500 per month for each vehicle, or the amount actually earned, whichever is higher, that will be considered as your PGBP income, right? Now, when we are talking about the SSE who owns not more than 10 goods carriages at any time of the previous year, so in this case, owning is relevant. Whether you own the vehicle or not, this particular decision is important. Whether it was being put to use or not, that is irrelevant for this section, right? Now, the next point is that we know hire purchase. In case of hire purchase, what happens? We have a beneficial ownership of the partner of the vehicle or the asset, but we are still yet to pay some installments of that asset, right? So, in this case, hire purchase or installment yet to be paid shall be deemed to be the owner, even if the amount is still due. If you are purchasing any truck or any lorry on hire purchase basis and you have still not paid the entire amount, in that case also it is the that shall be deemed to be the owner. That person, the SSE shall be deemed to be the owner, right? So at any point of time in the previous year, the SSE should not have more than 10 vehicles, more than 10 goods carriages vehicles, right? The next point says that calculation of WDV of the block shall continue. We have been studying this in the last few sections. Another thing is that in the cases where the SSC is a firm, so in the firms we know that remuneration and interest are being paid to the partners, right? So that is obviously it is an expenditure, वो एक खर्चा है. So in this case, this point is very important. Why it is important? Because in the last few sections, we were not studying this particular point, right? But in this section, this is a different one. It says that the remuneration and interest paid to the partners shall be deducted from the income. In this case, there is you're getting a deduction which is subject to the conditions and limits which are mentioned in your obviously section 40 clause B. So the whatever remuneration or interest you are paying to your partners, that shall be deductible from the income, right? But obviously it is subject to a condition of section 40B, right? 40 clause B. Now, uh, another thing you might be thinking, what about that NTI is less than basic exemption wala clause? So in this case, again clarification is given, as this section is having no limits on turnover. This is a very important point, is that in this business we are not talking about turnover anywhere, right? So because there is no turnover in the picture, so section 44AA and section 44AB shall not apply in this case. So, any SSE engaged in the business mentioned in section 44 AE, you don't have to maintain your books of accounts and you don't need to get your books of accounts audited, right? Now, another thing is that if you want to claim your profits lower than the given amount, like if your PGBP income is lower than this 1000 per turn or 7500 per month, then in that case you have to maintain your books of accounts and obviously you have to get them audited as well, right? Generally, you don't have to maintain your books of accounts and you don't have to get those books of accounts audited. But in the cases where you want to claim your profits below the given amount, in that case what happens? In that case you have to maintain your books of accounts, right? And another thing is that you need to remember this, don't get confused, that NTI is more than your basic exemption, NTI is less than your basic exemption. That provision is not here, right? So that particular concept is not applicable in your section 44 AE, right? I hope this is clear, and I really hope you have understood whatever we have studied now. So yes, after this simply watch this class and simply take out your book and read this particular provision, and if you have any questions then please solve them. And yes, if you find this video helpful then please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel the Witty Turtle, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and because I'm posting some really good reels over there. And yes, don't forget to share this video with your CA, CMA, inter and final friends.